Welcome to All Things Retreat Podcast. I'm Holly Porter, your host and CEO of Retreat R&R. With over 25 years of experience in designing transformative retreats, I'm here to share insights and inspiration to help you create extraordinary experiences. Whether you're a pro or just starting out, you'll find valuable ideas here. Enjoy the ride. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome to All Things Retreat Podcast Show. Today, we're excited for another guest to be on here with me, and we're going to have a little fun conversation today with Shani, as she is a luxury space healer for New Earth leaders, conscious entrepreneurs, witches, oracles, wild women, creatives, and healers, and retreat leaders, of course. She transforms homes, retreats, and workspaces into radiant temples of prosperity, peace, and sacred energy so that you, your business, and your clients feel rooted in your mission and radiant in your gifts. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you here. So I guess to start off, what got you into this work? I love hearing
Wow.
those backstories.
Yeah, I'll try and keep it short because there's many pieces to it. But I've always been someone that's loved spaces and always felt very deeply my environment around me. I've always been very affected by spaces that I'm in. I was a teacher for many, many years, and I would always try and like vibe up my classrooms as well and bring in plants and bring in non-toxic cleaning products. And I was always trying to create a nicer environment for my students even back then. And then just every place I ever lived, people would walk in and always say to me, I love the energy you've created in here. And it's always kind of been a comment that people have made to me. When I left teaching, I actually went into a different form of healing modality. I trained to be a rebirthing breathwork facilitator. I was working with ancestral healing, holding women's circles, women's events, retreats, etc. That was beautiful and wonderful. And I'm really glad that I had that as my foundation. And then whilst I was traveling around Central and South America over the last 2 years, we were in Mexico staying in a house called Casa Espiral, which was like a roundhouse. And it was based on the 5 elements. And when I was in that house, I started to get kind of activated in a different way. I really just wanted to change everything up in the house all the time. And I was like, I want to move that furniture there. And why have they painted it that color? And, I was just kind of always thinking about it. And it was around that time I got a very clear message from God to say, stop the business that you're doing, finish up with the clients you're with, put it all down. I'm going to give you your next instructions. And I was like, what do I do now? I'm not a teacher anymore. I don't have this business. You're telling me to stop my business. Like, now what do I do? I'm kind of sat in the void here. And I sat in the void for almost a year, and we continued to travel. But it kind of kept coming in dribs and drabs. Like, I'd get these messages like, watch Selling Sunset. And I was like, what? I hate like drama shows, but I was like obsessed with the houses. And then I would just get these like little messages. And I'd been doing what's known as grid work for a long time. Wherever I traveled, anywhere, any place, I would always clear the land. I would always connect with the spirits. I would always connect with anything that was present, benevolent or non-benevolent in the space. And I'd be working on clearing it and I like to say energetically vibing it up.
Yeah.
And as we were traveling, we went to so many different countries and stayed in so many different places. It was becoming more and more clear that that's what I was just naturally doing. As well as that, I was working on my house back in England. I had some issues with my house back at home. And when I started to just do this naturally on my house at home, kind of psychically tune into the energy of it, started to clear it from a distance, things started to shift quite quickly. And I really realized, like, okay, this is what I'm meant to be doing. Like, God's been like dropping the seeds for me nearly over for a year now.
Yeah.
And yeah, slowly, it just kind of like the seeds were planted until someone mentioned to me in Colombia about interior therapy, which is like interior design, but more when you're coaching your clients through transitions. And it wasn't quite the right thing for me, but it definitely sparked an idea for me. And after that, it just really dropped in. Like, I'm supposed to be energetically clearing spaces the way that I used to do for people in my sessions with ancestral healing. Now I'm just doing it for spaces. And then feng shui just seemed to come along as the like beautiful next addition to that. And so I've studied classical feng shui and I've been working with a mix, kind of blend feng shui with my energy space clearing.
Yeah.
And I've worked with specifically conscious entrepreneurs and new earth leaders and people who do hold retreats and kind of community spaces and podcast studios and things like that. So it's been
Mhm.
a really, really beautiful journey. And yeah, I'm just so glad that I listened and put down my tools and my business and listened to what was coming next. And I feel super honored to do this work, and yeah, just really in alignment with what I'm sharing. So it feels great.
I love that you listen to that little nudge. I personally, I'm a fast goer. So like if I had to wait a year to really get my answer, oh, I think God
Mm,
knows us individually and knows
yeah.
I couldn't have done that, but I've had the same things happen in my life as well. And I feel like it's interesting because I've been a real estate broker for 20 years prior, I've had a lot of different businesses, but I always knew when I walked into a home that like you felt that home. Like if
Yeah.
something, I'm very intuitive and things would feel off, including my own home there.
Hmm.
I always believe people should bless their homes when you get a new home or a new space
Hmm.
and I think if we cross over that information with the retreats, I think it's amazing when retreat leaders like this is a little bit more of a woo woo show. I'm going to say to our listeners right now, just so you know, sometimes we work on business tools and things like that, but today it's a little more about the energy and the space we're creating and the feng shui we're creating.
Yeah.
I love this conversation because I feel like that retreat leaders maybe don't in tune enough to the space. And
Hmm.
sometimes if you don't start, it's like having an empty canvas when you walk in and being able to
Yeah.
create it rather than having it like paint thrown at the wall, or on the
Yeah.
canvas, making a big splash before you even start, because then everything's just messed up and it feels weird. So
Yeah.
anyway,
one of
I
the
think it's
one of
great.
the things that I always say, to any conscious entrepreneur or new earth leader or retreat leader is that actually it doesn't start with strategy. It does start with your space, because there are spirits that live within your home, within your workspace, within your retreat center, your podcast studio, your community center, whatever it is, like a co-working space, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There are spirits that live in that space and live on that land. And if you are not allies and you're not connected with the spirits of your space or that land, they can't work with you, and it can cause a whole lot of mess,
Yeah.
especially if you are running a retreat. And I have been to quite a number of retreat centers on my travels, and I can tell you that the people who own retreat centers or run retreats who don't energetically clear that space properly are running
Yeah.
into huge spiritual issues with the people that then come into their space, because those
Yeah.
spirits or those entities will then find that as an opportunity to attach to people.
Yes.
People can leave feeling
Yeah.
not knowing what to do with this feeling that they've
Mhm.
been left with. And you just know when you walk into an environment, well, if you tuned in enough and you're intuitive enough, you can really feel that. And when I've worked with conscious entrepreneurs in their homes, in their workspaces, it's not just impacting their business, it's impacting their family life, it's
Mhm.
impacting their personal life, it's in fact impacting their relationships. Has
Yeah.
a ripple effect, because the more that you can root down, my brand is called Roots and Rituals for that reason. Like that, I really believe, like, as above so below, as within so without. And the more that you're rooted into your space, you mentioned it, in the introduction, like, the more you're rooted into your environment and feel safe, and your body is not in fight or flight, and you feel at ease in
Right.
that space, you can really use ritual to create a sacred space that allows you to be in your radiance. And when you're in your radiance, you're more magnetic to the things that you want to bring into your life. And it's, your environment is that mirror reflection of you, and you are the mirror reflection of your environment. And it's almost as if your soul and your human are either in resonance and in frequency with each other, or they're not. And
Yeah.
it's either working for your business and your retreat business, or it's not. And you can do something about that. You can use feng shui to assess the energy in your space. Feng shui is more specifically for that annual year, so
Mhm.
it changes on an annual basis.
Yeah.
Whereas the work that I do with the psychic energetic clearing is really tuning into a deeper level of what's going on also in your being and in your soul.
Yeah.
So it's very powerful to blend the two of them together and really get in deep and see what's happening
Yeah.
in your space. Yeah.
There was a guy that I work with. He's passed away now, but he would have like these events, and it was the first time I had heard the term gamify. and he just made
Mm.
them super fun. But he'd like bring in these bright orange and purple and beige couches and chairs and things instead of you just sitting in an audience, there you'd sit like that. And it was just so fun how he created that space. I just felt like
Mm.
the combination of the learning experience that he had. And I feel like for retreats, that's something that, is so important, is
Yeah.
creating that container, creating that space, not only clearing the energy around it, but even maybe working with the people walking in, because who knows what they're
Yeah.
coming in with, right? I mean, you hope when they leave, it's the great radiance that you're looking for. That's the plan. But sometimes they come in with that heaviness and that ick, and it's knowing, and there's nothing wrong with the retreat leader realizing that's not their gift and bringing as a teammate somebody like you in to that
Exactly.
space.
That's exactly it. I worked with a couple in Peru who were running retreats. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. Yeah, I worked with a couple who were running retreats from their home. They
Yeah.
had a really big house and they had many bedrooms and many rooms. And they were holding medicine ceremonies in their
Uh-huh.
home. And they were very good at what they were doing, and they've been doing it for many, many years. But they said there were these things that they felt off in the space, and it actually, when we dived in, partly it was to do with the house itself and spirits that were living in the house itself. Partly it was to do with, I was tuning in when we kind of did, I went to their house to do it, but we did it remotely from a kind of a journey, and I
Yeah.
felt a real resistance at the front gate. Like,
Ooh,
I was like, there's a fear energy that's
right in the
hanging out
beginning.
the gate. And she said, yeah, I was actually attacked by a dog here, and every time I walk through the gate I feel scared. And I was like, okay, well, we need to clear that fear, because whoever is walking into your house for a retreat is going to be picking up on that energy, and we
Yeah.
don't want them in fear before they've even sat with medicine. So,
Yeah.
like, that was the way that I work, is I can feel what's going on in the space, and I can pinpoint it, and I can clear it. And within
Yeah.
that moment it shifts, and it changes for them, and the whole atmosphere then changes in the house as a result.
Mm,
um and will then affect, other people coming into the space. And that is really important when you're holding retreats, because,
so
as you
true.
said, people are walking in with all sorts
Yeah.
of things in their body. And not just that, like, the space that the retreat center is built on,
Yeah.
often, they're these usually quite big spaces that have been built on some kind of land
Yeah.
that potentially a foreigner has bought in another country, and you don't know what was there before, and you don't know what spirits were there before, or what family
Yeah.
issues were there before. I worked with another retreat center in Peru, a much bigger retreat center, and I actually had a ceremony there myself, and I felt a lot of issues in the ceremony with fraud, like black money is how it came through in the ceremony. And then I went there and I did a radiance reset for them. We tuned into the energy of the land. We had a fire. Um, and then it turned out that the family who was renting them the space, the son had been stealing money off of their rent
Oh,
and not giving it to his parents. And I could feel it. I
yeah.
knew it was in the family. And so, again, like, these are the sorts of things that I can tune into. And you know, they were trying to run retreats and people weren't really showing up. And it was like, well, the energy's not good here. Like,
Yeah.
it's not. It's built on like a bad foundation of lack of integrity and fraud. So why would people feel safe to come into your space and have a retreat? And they were specifically running retreats for conscious entrepreneurs and digital nomads, like, about money and about, like, and I'm
Interactive.
like, well, it's not going to work, because the money,
Yeah.
the energy of the money underneath is bad. Like, it's out of
Yeah.
integrity. So why would people be attracted to this space? So it's very, very interesting, like, when you really dive into the roots of what's going
Hmm.
on energetically within a space, and look at the land that it's built on, look at the people. And feng shui as well is built, it, classical feng shui was about land and directions and
Right.
elements. It's not just like, oh, move your bed here and everything will be
Yeah.
great. It's so much deeper than that. So
Yeah.
um
It's
yeah.
intense. I mean, gosh, you could have 10 hours of shows on just that.
Yeah.
And building grids and figuring all that out. I totally. Many retreat leaders focus heavily on programming at the retreats, but
Mm.
they've not always on the energetic environment, like we were
Mhm.
saying. How does the energy of physical space impact transformation people experience at a retreat?
Yeah, great question. I mean, as I said, I've been to many retreat centers, right, in my lifetime, not just like as a participant. I've led some, and also just worked in some, and just been
Yeah.
in those spaces. Um, you can feel it when you walk into the space, whether most people are going on retreat depending on the type of retreat it is, obviously, but most people would say that they're going on retreat to do exactly that, retreat,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're going
Right.
for some kind of transformation. They're going
Mhm.
for some kind of respite from their day-to-day life. They're going to experience a space where they feel safe, where they can relax. If they walk into a space and the energy is off, and by the way, that energy can also be created by the retreat leader or whoever's
Yes,
working on the retreats.
for sure.
Um, but if the space, let's say the space had a retreat before and the retreat leader didn't know, say there was, I don't know, whatever it was, a breathwork retreat or a medicine retreat, or I
Yeah.
don't know, a tantric retreat, I don't know, whatever it was, and there was a lot of energy moving and that space wasn't cleared properly, um, the next group of people coming in will pick up on that.
Yeah.
And they can pick up on that, and it can really impact their experience and their transformation, and it can make them feel heavy or take on somebody else's emotions that's already in the space, or spirits that have been left behind,
Yeah.
and that person's experience might be hindered by that, and really you want them to come into the space and go, and just drop in and be in there, have their nervous system feel regulated,
Yeah.
not dysregulated. The last thing you want on your retreat is having people in a constant state of dysregulation, because that
Absolutely.
is extra work for you. It's like, it's not, it takes away the experience for that person. It might take away the experience for other people on the
Yeah.
retreat. So it really is important that the energetics of the space are fully in alignment.
Yeah.
We did a photo shoot at a retreat, a different retreat center in Peru. and and I remember walking into the main ceremony space to do the photo shoot. There was quite a number of us in the shoot, and I instantly felt sick. And I asked the owner, like, when was the last ceremony in the space? And she said, "Oh, yeah, we just had an ayahuasca retreat here." And I was like, "Yeah, but
Um,
nobody cleaned the space." She
yeah.
was like, "Yeah, we've had it cleaned." And I was like, "Yeah, maybe you got
Uh,
cleaners in,
what
but
kind of
like,
clean you talking about?
that's not what I'm talking about." I was like, "It feels awful in there." And I wasn't the only one. Other people could feel it too. People are purging literally their demons. And it's like,
Right.
you've got to clean that shit up. Like, it's not
Yeah.
okay to then bring other people into that space.
Right.
So,
Well, and as a retreat leader or a venue space, for those of you that have venues listening to this show, you need
yeah,
to be aware of this stuff. I mean, there's some responsibility when you take on
yeah,
the whole retreat business in itself. And I,
yeah,
it's not, let's not make it all about the money. Let's take care of the people. Like we're taking
absolutely.
their lives sometimes into our hands and putting them in a container
Absolutely.
that could worsen them. And we don't want to do that. Let's make sure our
Not at
skills
all.
are what
And
they
also,
need to be.
just having reverence for the land. Earlier I said, the environment is a reflection of us. We are a reflection of the environment. And, we've been separated from land. We've been divided, but we are the
Mhm.
land, and the land is us. And there are certain cultures and, places around the world where they really revere the land. They really honor the land. They
Yeah.
honor the spirits of the land. They give offerings. And I always say, like, you need to ask permission when you go somewhere new. Like, do I have permission to hold a retreat here? Do the guardians of this land allow me to be here and do this work? Are the spirits of the land okay with me bringing people from other countries and bringing this energy here? Am
Yeah.
I Do I have permission? And I don't think a lot of people check in with that, because we've never been taught to. And
Right.
actually, the more that you can ask that, it's like you wouldn't just walk into someone's front door without asking them, right? Like, you knock on the
Yeah.
door, you wait for them to answer. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a similar sort of idea. And then you might say to them, "Oh, should I take my shoes off? Do you want me to take my shoe, or
Yeah.
do you want me to hang my coat up?" Or whatever it is. Like, you're in their space, and the
Yeah.
spirits of the land are there before you. So if you
Right.
don't check in with them and you don't get that permission, then you shouldn't be doing that work there. And I know
Yeah.
it's triggering for the ego, because you might find the most beautiful, amazing retreat space and you want to bring people
Right.
to,
Right.
but it
Well, and
has
I
to
think,
be
oh,
integrity.
I think as retreat leaders too, we need to be aware, especially when we start doing international retreats, of different cultures and different areas and what their etiquette is and what, you
Exactly.
don't usually walk into Asian homes ever with your shoes. Like that's a big
Yeah.
no-no. If you're not aware and you don't know that. So I think it's very important to understand the culture of where you're taking your people. Hopefully you've been there before. Number one. Number two, that
Yeah.
you've done your research so you understand that. So you don't offend
Yeah.
people, especially the locals. You want their support, you want their help. So I think,
100%.
yeah. What's one simple thing that you could suggest to someone listening today that they could go and do immediately to elevate the energy of their home and their retreat space, so to speak?
Mhm. Yeah, I would always start with the front door. In feng shui, this is known as the mouth of qi. It's where energy comes in and out
Yeah.
mostly. And it's I like to describe it to my clients as a threshold into a portal, right? Like you're stepping over a threshold from the outside world into a sacred sanctuary, if
Yeah.
that's how you want to create it. And it is a temple space, especially for a retreat. Like you do create that container, you do create that very sacred space for your retreat participants, and you are stepping over a threshold into a new portal, into a
Mhm.
new realm. And having that front door area clean and clear of clutter,
Yeah.
blessings as you walk in, gratitude for stepping over the threshold. And then there are certain things that you like, certain ways to set up your front door, which I won't go into now because it's individual for each
Right.
person, but to really bring in optimal, favorable energy so that the opportunities are flowing in and staying in, as opposed to just shooting straight through or getting stuck in the in the front entrance. So I would
Okay.
always start with the front door, always. Yeah.
Um, okay, so running out of time here, wrapping up a little bit. We'll have show notes that'll give all your contact information. So somebody listening, leaning in, or maybe wants to talk to you more, a little deeper about what you do, we'll list all of that in the show notes. Is there anything extra that you want to say in there?
Yeah, I love to connect with people. So please do come and follow me on Instagram. Come and check out my website. Come and get on my mailing list where I share, more information. I have a free Telegram group as well that gets a bit more intimate. It's a bit more of an intimate space where I can, send voice notes and connect with people as well. So that's really beautiful to join. And yeah, I really love to offer these psychic intuitive sessions into people's spaces. And of course, like I also offer full feng shui flying star reports, is like a known as like a birth chart for your home. So it's like your personal energetic blueprint specifically for your home or your retreat center or your workspace. And those are really in depth. They're very, very powerful reports that, as I said, they're annual. So it will be for this year. And we've just entered a new annual feng shui year that started on the 4th of February was the feng shui annual year. The 17th was the Lunar New Year for the Chinese calendar. So we're in the beginning of this annual year now for feng shui. This is the perfect time to get your feng shui report done
Awesome.
for your space. Yeah.
Okay. I usually end this with rapid fire, but let me just give you a couple. Give me the first thing that comes to your mind. A space should feel
Luxurious.
one object every sacred space needs.
Oh, the first thing that came to me was fire, like a fireplace or a place to be able to light a fire. Yeah.
Okay. And the last one, a color that rises or raises the vibration of the room.
Like orange, just
Ooh,
oranges.
my favorite color.
Hmm.
I love
Yeah,
that.
me too. Me too.
Well,
Oranges.
I really am happy that you came on today. It was fun, and I hope that our listeners just loved a lot of this. It's a little bit different than what the norm is. So, Shani, we're happy that you were able to come join
Thank
us, and
you.
then all her notes will be, or all her information will be in the show notes. So join us next week, and until then, everybody have a nice day. Bye for
Yes.
now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of All Things Retreat. We hope you're leaving with new ideas, fresh inspiration, and the motivation to take your retreats to the next level. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us grow and reach more retreat leaders like you. And if you have any questions, topics you'd like us to cover, or just want to say hello, send us an email at info@weretreatrnr.com. Follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all the latest updates. Until next time, remember, great retreats start with great intentions. Let's make them extraordinary, one step at a time. Thinking about hosting a retreat? Before you dive in, let's make sure you're really ready. Grab your free Are You Retreat Ready checklist and find out if you've got everything in place, from your purpose and pricing to your audience and agenda. Don't guess. Get clear. This quick checklist will show you exactly where you stand and what you need to make your retreat a success. Click the link below in the show notes to grab your gift and take the first step toward hosting with confidence.